The ground beneath us is not solid forever. It is moving, cracking, stretching, and in some places, ripping itself apart. Across the planet, entire landscapes are being pulled open by forces deep inside Earth. Deserts split into giant cracks. Oceans are born from broken continents. Volcanoes rise where land is tearing apart. And in some places, humans live right on top of the boundary between worlds. Today, we're counting down the top 9 places the Earth is ripping apart. And stay until number 1, because the final place may show the early stages of a future ocean forming right in front of us. Before we begin, comment which place you think looks the most like Earth breaking open. Number 9, the San Andreas Fault, United States. The San Andreas Fault is not pulling apart like a zipper. It is worse in a different way. 2 massive plates are sliding past each other, storing energy beneath California. Picture dry hills, cracked desert plains, offset streams, broken roads, and long scars cutting across the landscape. From the air, the fault looks like a wound across the state. On the ground, it can seem quiet, almost harmless, until the pressure releases. The San Andreas Fault marks the boundary between the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. These plates are not moving in the same direction. They grind past each other, building stress over time. That stress does not release smoothly. It locks, bends the crust, and then suddenly breaks during earthquakes. This is why the San Andreas is one of the most famous fault systems on Earth. It reminds us that the ground can appear peaceful while enormous force is waiting underneath. Some features across the fault are visibly offset. Streams, ridges, and roads can be shifted because the 2 sides of the fault have moved past each other over long periods of time. Millions of people live near this system, including in major parts of California. Scientists monitor it closely because a major earthquake here could affect cities, infrastructure, water lines, highways, and lives. The San Andreas shows the human side of tectonics. Earth moves slowly, but when people build on top of that movement, the consequences become immediate. But the San Andreas is a sliding scar. The next place is more direct. The land is being pulled apart so strongly that an entire sea sits inside the crack. From California's shifting fault line, we travel to the Middle East, where Earth's crust has dropped into one of the lowest places on land. Number 8, the Dead Sea Rift, Middle East. The Dead Sea Rift is a place where Earth has stretched, dropped, and opened a deep scar through the landscape. Imagine steep desert cliffs falling toward a brilliant blue salt lake. The Dead Sea Rift is part of a long tectonic boundary between the African Plate and the Arabian Plate. The plates are moving in a way that creates a deep fault system through the region. This motion has helped form valleys, earthquakes, and one of the most extreme low points on Earth's land surface. The Dead Sea itself exists in a depression shaped by tectonic forces and evaporation, leaving behind water so salty that people can float easily on its surface. The Dead Sea is not just famous for salt. The surrounding rift zone is seismically active. Ancient cities, historical sites, and modern communities all exist in a landscape shaped by fault movement. For thousands of years, people have lived, traveled, traded, and built near this rift. The same forces that created dramatic landscapes also created risk. Earthquakes in this region are not just geological events, they can become human disasters. But the Dead Sea Rift is only one piece of a much larger story. The next place is where Africa itself begins to tear open. Now we move south into one of the most important tectonic landscapes on Earth, the Great Rift Valley. Number 7, the East African Rift Valley. In East Africa, a continent is slowly splitting apart. Vast valleys cut through the land, volcanoes rise above plains, lakes stretch along deep basins, steam rises from geothermal fields, and cliffs mark places where the crust has dropped between fault lines. The East African Rift is an enormous zone where the African Plate is being pulled apart into separate sections, often described as the Nubian Plate and the Somali Plate. This process is powerful enough to reshape a continent. Over millions of years, this kind of rifting can eventually create a new ocean basin, Some of the world's most important fossil discoveries were found in East Africa's rift landscapes. The same tectonic forces that broke the land also helped expose layers of ancient history, including clues about human evolution. Millions of people live across the rift zone. The land provides fertile volcanic soils, geothermal energy, lakes, and tourism. But it also brings earthquakes, volcanic hazards, and unstable ground. This is the strange bargain of living on a ripping continent. The danger and the opportunity come from the same source. But the East African rift is not one simple crack. One of its most dramatic branches runs through Ethiopia, where the land looks almost alien. From the broad Rift Valley, we descend into Ethiopia's Afar region, a place where three tectonic forces meet. Number 6. The Afar Triangle, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti. It is one of the few places on Earth where you can stand near the meeting point of three tectonic rifts. The crust here is being pulled in different directions by major forces. The landscape looks like another planet. Salt flats burn white under the sun. Lava fields stretch into the distance. Volcanoes smoke on the horizon. The ground is cracked, dry, colorful, and hostile. This makes the region one of the clearest windows into continental breakup. The land is thinning. Volcanoes are active. Cracks open. Magma rises closer to the surface. It is a place where Earth's interior feels unusually close. Parts of the Afar region are below sea level, yet they are not covered by ocean. In the distant future, if rifting continues and seawater floods in, parts of this region could become the floor of a new sea. The Afar people have lived in this extreme environment for generations, adapting to heat, salt, distance, and harsh terrain. Scientists come here to study how continents break apart, but local communities live with the reality every day. If you could safely stand on one place where Earth is splitting apart, which one would you choose? Drop your answer below before we reach number 1. Number 5. The Red Sea Rift. The Red Sea is not just a body of water. It is a young ocean being born. From above, it is a long, narrow strip of blue between Africa and Arabia. Desert mountains rise on both sides, while coral reefs glow beneath the surface. But deep below, the seafloor tells a more violent story. The Red Sea formed as the Arabian Plate pulled away from the African Plate. This is rifting in action. The crust stretched, cracked, dropped, and eventually allowed seawater to flood the gap. In geological terms, it is like watching the early stage of an ocean basin develop. Deep parts of the Red Sea contain hot brine pools, extremely salty, dense underwater lakes that can be hostile to many forms of life. These strange environments are connected to the region's tectonic and volcanic activity. The Red Sea has shaped trade, migration, culture, and history for thousands of years. Today, it is bordered by countries, shipping routes, tourism sites, and fragile coral ecosystems. But beneath all that human activity, the plates continue to move. The sea is the visible result of a continent pulling apart. But the Red Sea is already filled with water. The next place gives us a colder, more dramatic view of splitting land, with fire and ice side by side. Now we travel north to Iceland, one of the only places where a major ocean ridge rises above sea level. Number 4. Iceland and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. In Iceland, you can stand between two tectonic plates and see the planet pulling itself open. In places like Thingvellir, rocky walls mark the rift between North America and Eurasia. Black lava fields stretch across the land. Steam rises from geothermal vents. Waterfalls crash over cliffs. Glaciers sit near volcanoes. It is a land shaped by the violent separation of the Earth's crust. Iceland sits on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where the North American Plate and Eurasian Plate are moving away from each other. As the plates separate, magma rises to fill the gap, creating new crust. That is why Iceland is full of volcanoes, hot springs, and dramatic rift landscapes. At Thingvellir National Park, visitors can walk through a rift valley connected to the boundary between two major plates. It is one of the most famous places on Earth where tectonic movement is visible at the surface. Icelanders live with this power every day. Volcanic eruptions can disrupt travel, reshape land, and threaten communities. But geothermal energy also provides heat and electricity, turning tectonic danger into a source of life. But Iceland is only the surface expression of a much larger split, one that runs beneath the Atlantic like a planet-sized seam. From the visible rift in Iceland, we descend into the ocean, where Earth is creating new seafloor and darkness. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is one of the longest mountain ranges on Earth, but most people will never see it because it is hidden beneath the ocean. Imagine descending into the black Atlantic, past sunlight, past open water, to where mountains rise from the seafloor. This is a massive underwater boundary where tectonic plates move apart. As they pull away, magma rises and cools, forming new oceanic crust. This is seafloor spreading, the engine that causes the Atlantic Ocean to widen very slowly, year after year. Hydrothermal vents along the ridge support ecosystems that do not depend on sunlight. Instead, life survives using chemical energy from Earth's interior. That means the place where the planet is tearing open can also be where strange life thrives. For scientists, mid-ocean ridges changed our understanding of Earth. They proved that the seafloor is born, spreads, and moves, but even the ridge is mostly hidden. The next place is a terrifying reminder that when the crust rips open suddenly, the surface can split in front of people's eyes. From the deep Atlantic, we return to land, to a place where a giant crack appeared across the ground and shocked the world. Number 2. The 2005 Dabahu Rift Crack, Ethiopia. In 2005, a huge crack opened in Ethiopia, and it looked like the continent had started tearing apart overnight. The ground splits across a dry, volcanic landscape. Long cracks cut through dirt and rock. Steam and volcanic gases rise from the earth. From the air, the fracture looks like a fresh wound across the desert. The Dabahu rifting event happened in the Afar region of Ethiopia, where tectonic plates are pulling apart. In a short period, magma pushed into the crust and forced the ground to open along a long fracture. This event gave scientists a rare chance to watch continental rifting happen in real time. Usually, tectonic processes are so slow that humans only see the results after thousands or millions of years. Here, a major episode unfolded quickly enough to measure. The crack stretched for many kilometers, and the event involved a large underground movement of magma. It showed that rifting is not always smooth and gradual. Sometimes the crust tears open in dramatic pulses. For local communities, a crack in the ground is not just a scientific event. It can threaten grazing land, travel routes, and safety. For scientists, it was a natural laboratory. For people living there, it was Earth changing the rules beneath their feet. But Dabahu was one dramatic episode inside an even larger system. Number 1 is the bigger story, the place where the future of a continent may be written. For number 1, we return to East Africa, where the land is not only cracking, it may be the beginning of a new ocean. Number 1 is the East African Rift System, the enormous tectonic zone where Africa is slowly being pulled apart and where a future ocean may one day form. Picture the continent from space. A long scar runs down eastern Africa. On the ground, the scar becomes cliffs, volcanoes, lakes, steaming vents, cracked earth, and valleys so wide they look like the planet has been stretched open. It is beautiful, it is dangerous, and it is still happening. The East African Rift System is not a single crack. It is a vast network of rift valleys, faults, volcanoes, and basins created as tectonic plates move apart. The Somali Plate is gradually separating from the Nubian Plate, while the Arabian Plate has already been pulling away to the northeast. This is how continents break. First, the crust stretches, then it thins, faults open, blocks drop down, magma rises, volcanoes form, lakes collect in the low areas. If the process continues long enough, the land may eventually split so deeply that ocean water floods in. That is why scientists often describe parts of East Africa as a place where a future ocean could be born. Not tomorrow, not in our lifetime, but in geological time. This is one of the great transformations of Earth. The most shocking part is that this process has already created some of the most dramatic landscapes and important human history regions on the planet. The rift has shaped lakes, volcanoes, ecosystems, and fossil sites that helped reveal the story of human evolution. So the same force that may one day split a continent also helped preserve clues about where humans came from. That is the strange beauty of tectonics. It destroys, creates, exposes, and reshapes all at once. The East African Rift matters because it shows Earth as a living planet. Continents are not fixed objects. They are temporary arrangements of crust, floating and shifting over deeper forces. It also matters for people living there. Rift zones can bring earthquakes, volcanic hazards, and unstable ground. But they also bring fertile soils, geothermal energy, lakes, minerals, and some of the most extraordinary scenery on Earth. This is not just geology, it is a reminder that civilization is built on a moving surface. The East African Rift earns the #1 spot because it is not just a crack in the ground, it is the opening chapter of a possible new ocean. One day, millions of years from now, maps of Earth may look completely different. Where people now walk, farm, drive, and build, there may be coastline, there may be islands, there may be a sea where land once held together. And that is the power of this place. It reminds us that Earth is not finished. The planet is still building itself, still breaking itself, still ripping apart. The places on this list prove that Earth is not a silent, frozen rock. It is active, restless, and constantly changing beneath our feet. From California's San Andreas Fault to the Dead Sea Rift, Iceland, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, Ethiopia's cracking deserts, and the vast East African Rift, each place reveals a different stage of the same powerful truth. The surface we live on is always moving. Which place shocked you the most? Would you rather stand between two plates in Iceland, fly over the Afar Triangle, or see the giant cracks of East Africa from above? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy documentary-style rankings about Earth mysteries, extreme places, natural wonders, and the powerful forces shaping our planet, subscribe for more. In the next video, we'll explore places where Earth is not ripping apart, but exploding upward.